This week's episode of I Have Today is brought to you by the Spifter. The Spifter is a fun sifting spoon that makes cooking, baking, and decorating with sugars and spices so much fun. No more mess or wasting your spices. It's fast, clean, and easy. Everything looks and tastes delicious. It's also great for straining loose tea, getting pesky broken cork out of your wine glass, and draining liquid off food like olives and capers. Whether you're a novice cook or a gourmet chef, you'll love the results. The Spifter, the kitchen gadget that no kitchen should be without. Hey there, it's Diane Forster, and welcome to I Have Today, the show that inspires, educates, and empowers you through life's transitions. And each week on this show, I bring on the coolest, most amazing, awesome CEOs, experts, entrepreneurs, life changers, and global leaders who have gone through their own transitions in life and reinvented themselves, and they come out on the other side successful. And they come on this show to share their stories of success with us. And today I am very excited to introduce you to my new friend, Krisha Young. Hey, Krisha, how are you?
Hey, I'm so good, Diane. How are you? Hi, everybody.
I am doing so great. Well, I'm so excited to have you on the show and share you with the audience. So before we get started, let me tell you what the theme of today's show is. It is how to stop sabotaging yourself. Okay, this is such an issue, as we know, when you hear Krisha's story and my story. I mean, we have so much alignment in this, and the self-sabotage we've done to ourselves, and we know so many other people are doing, and we really help supporting people. And Krisha is a sabotage slayer and success coach.
I am.
We talk about that and what that means and get into her story, and you're going to walk away with some amazing tips and strategies today. So before we do that, let me tell you what the intention statement is. So if you're writing it down, let it anchor in this week, okay? It is, I have today to connect with my inner design and harness my strengths, okay? So what Krisha does is she does a lot of work around human design, among other things, which we're going to talk a lot about and what that is and how that impacts your life. But first, let me read a little bit about Krisha's bio. So Krisha Young is a success coach and sabotage slayer. She's a champion for those that need to live life on their own terms. Through her bespoke coaching techniques, programs, and speaking events, Krisha helps kick-ass creative entrepreneurs and business people tap into their inner mastery to be their most successful selves. She aids them in their quest to make a deep impact on the world and grow their careers in their own way and to love their lives while doing it. After a rocky start to life, through a lot of trial and error, Krisha was determined to discover the inner truth, essence, and power, and so has been on a journey towards self-empowerment, self-love, and soul alignment. This in turn helped her to create a business that not only supports her values of freedom and integrity, but that also helps to support business owners and professionals around the world to do the same. All right, Krisha. Wow. Well, sabotage slayer. I love that so much. All right. So, share with our audience a little bit about your story and what you do.
Okay. So I, as alluded to in the bio, I had this interesting start to life. I grew up in an alcoholic home in an environment that was not at all supportive to love or growth or any of that kind of stuff. And so I spent the majority of my life feeling like I had no self-worth, no self-confidence. But there's this deep part of me somewhere inside that knew that there was something else in this world for me. And I knew deeply that I just wanted to help people, but I could never really get there. Like I could never really grasp who that woman was and who that person was. And so I spent the first half of my life, living in this world of fear and self-sabotage and low self-worth and low self-confidence and not being tapped in at all to anything. within me or spiritually or anything like that. And a lot of decisions in my life were made from this place of fear. A lot of decisions were made from a place of scarcity. But at the time it felt like it was really necessary. Like I had to do it. And, it's only on hindsight, right, that we look back and we're like, oh, okay, I can totally see the pattern now. And the trial and error piece was every few years I'd be like, I can't deal with this anymore. And like my essence, my spirit, my soul would crash out and be like, destroy my life and, just like get rid of everything. It's like this one big sweep. Yep. And then, which is really powerful. And it was an indication of how powerful I am. But then like quickly the fear would come back. It would be like, oh, I'm so powerful. And then, oh my God, I'm so weak. And then the weakness would just come back and the fears would just come back. And then I would find myself in the same patterns and with the same people and the same stuff over and over and over and over again. And when I was pregnant with my son, my first son, it was really weird. All these sort of like holistic things started coming across my radar. I was working in a corporate job and I was working like ridiculously stupid hours every week and not being recognized for what I was bringing to the table. And it really, really triggered my low self-worth and low self-esteem and all that kind of fun stuff. And it was like getting pregnant was sort of like the wake up that I needed in a way at that time. And I found myself all of a sudden, like just not being even remotely holistic to now I have a midwife. Now I'm giving a home birth. Now I'm learning about homeopathy. Like it was just this switch. And at the time I was so stressed out. I had a lot of digestive issues, migraines, like a lot of physical things wrong with my body, which made complete sense because I was miserable and unhappy and I didn't eat well. Right.
Yes.
And so I gained a ton of weight in my pregnancy. I gained about 60 pounds. And after I gave birth, I was like, okay, I don't want this anymore. I don't want this life. I don't want to think this way anymore. I don't want to feel this way about myself. But more importantly, I just don't want to be overweight anymore. And that's where I started. And that was what led me onto, so I started with like holistic nutrition. And when I found holistic nutrition, I was like, oh, this is how I'm going to help people, right? It's food, it's fun. It's like, it worked for me. I don't have migraines anymore. I don't have digestive issues anymore, so on and so forth. And then from that, it just continued to evolve to where it is today, through that trial and error of having different people come in to work with me who were looking for me to help them with different things. And what it always ended up boiling down to was like the food and that kind of stuff was just like kind of secondary. It was sort of like, yeah, I have a problem with this, but really my real problem is that I can't stand up for myself. I don't know how to say no. I'm in situations that I don't really want to be in. I'm unhappy with this particular thing. I want to be stronger. I want to be more confident. I want to be more in alignment and all of those kinds of things. And so that just started to be drawn out of the clients that I was working with because I was doing that work. Yes. And I was diving deep into personal development over the last 7 years, deep into every single thing you could possibly think of.
I can relate.
Right? Yep. To really like learn and understand what my sabotages are, turn them into my superpower, have all my shadows and everything right alongside with me. So there's nothing that can like knock me off course that much anymore. And all of that has just fueled this inner strength and this inner fire and this inner confidence and this inner power that, oh my God, like the woman of 7 years ago, it's like two completely different people.
Yes.
And through my own strength and my own ability to be able to go this deep and to take that risk, that calculated risk of, going deeper into my own psyche and my own stuff allows for my community and my people to be able to dive in too, because it's like, I'm the first one in the pool. Right? I'm the first one in the pool. It's not that bad. Then they all jump in with me and then everybody rises. Right.
Exactly.
So yeah, that's kind of been the iteration and obviously I'm an explorer and so different tools and different modalities come to me at all times and I look at them and I explore them and I test them out and I try them out. And then I turn around and I say, okay, yeah, this one's not so good or this one is amazing.
Yes. I hear you. We have so many similarities. What I want to talk about is what led you to studying human design and what is that? Explain to the audience what human design is.
Okay. So I'll answer the first question first. So what led me to human design was this work that I just described about going deeper and wanting to understand myself better. And I had invested a lot of money and done a lot of stuff, but I still found that there were things that were happening, behaviors and stuff that would just kept happening, that I was like, I don't understand why this is continuing to happen. Like, I've done the work. Why is this continuing to happen? And it led me on this intuitive search for something else. Like, that it just felt like there was something missing. And then when human design came across my plate, I was like, what is this thing? And I started to understand it and to read it and to see, like, oh my gosh, okay, so this is basically a blueprint for who I am. And all of the quirks, all of the brilliance, all of my purpose, the mission, my sabotages, like everything about who we are is in our human design chart. It's fascinating. And what it allowed me to do, and what it does, what human design does, is it gives people a physical blueprint of who they are. And to be able to identify what are your strengths, what are your areas of power, what's your life force inside of you, versus where are the areas that you sabotage yourself because they're what's called open in human design. So these would be like open centers, and any openness is the language of human design. And anything that is open is a vulnerability, is a sabotage, but it's also your superpower. And so when you start to understand how the whole thing works, then you can start to see, so all of those things that I thought were wrong with me are actually a part of my design, a part of who I am. And it allowed me to just be like, oh, okay. So I'm not crazy for thinking this way, or I'm not like insane for feeling this way, or whatever. And I recognize that. And now I can just go ahead and stay true to that conviction. So I'll give you a for example. I always felt deeply that I needed to be in a city. And I made I don't want to call it a mistake, but I made the decision from fear and from pleasing everybody else to move out to the suburbs a few years ago. And I knew, and I was like, my gut was like, no, don't do it. But it's like, well, we let the kids and this, that, and the other, and it's like good on paper. And so I made the decision to go against what my design, what my authority, what my everything was telling me to do. And I overrode that to please everybody else.
Right.
So fast forward now, I'm in the suburbs and I'm not loving it. I'm actually dying a slow death. And I couldn't understand why. I was like, what is wrong with me? I have this beautiful house. I'm in this beautiful place. Like, it's not bad, but I was dying and I couldn't figure out why. And my thoughts were scattered. I couldn't pull thinking together. I was being accused of being contradictory and all sorts of stuff. And I was like, I don't understand what's wrong with me, right? Like, why?
Yeah.
Anyway,
so what happened?
Learn my design. So what happened? I learned my design. I find out that I have what's called an open identity center, and location is critical for people who have that. But also I'm triple split, and triple split is a more complicated thing within human design. But basically it just means at the end of the day, I have to be in a city. I have to be around other people. I have to be around energies that help pull me together. And when I'm not, when I'm isolated, I'm fragmented. As soon as I learned that, I was like, I'm done. I'm out. Yes. And that enabled me to be able to stay true to who I am and live a happier life, live a happier existence.
Mm-hmm. What I love about this is because we just a few weeks ago had on Pamela Edwards Ryan, who is a feng shui master. And what I like to do on this show is bring in all these elements so that people really understand their makeup and their composition, and like you do with their design. Your physical location, your environment has a lot to do with your level of success and happiness. And so you're so right. And the point I want to make to the audience that's key that Krisha said is she went against her intuition and her instincts. She let it override and moved in a direction that wasn't feeling authentic to her, right? So that's where some of that sabotage comes in. So you got to trust that gut first. Yes, you got to know all of these other things too, but your inner guide is telling you what is right and wrong. And it's so powerful when you live from the place in the middle here, where your heart is your first mind. You know, your gut is part of that decision-making process, and trusting that. So I'm so happy to hear that you got tuned into that, and like, what a sense of relief once you realize, I'm not crazy. I'm not crazy. This is just not where I belong. Okay.
It's just not where I belong. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. And that's what the human design allows for, is to be able to see what are those instinctual things that you know are true, but keep kind of batting away. Well, it's right in your chart. It's like, it's literally right there.
Yes.
You know, it's really cool when I can show people that.
That's cool. So what's the difference between the human design chart and, say, the Enneagram or any of the other assessments out there? If you had to say, like, you know, one or two things that are different about.
Yeah. It's a great question. So like personality tests and things like that, what I find is that, so human design is based on your birth data. It's your birth time, your birthday, and the city of your birth. So there's no questions to answer. And so it's not coming from that subjective, you know, point of view. When you're doing a personality test, and this has been true for me, I don't know if you've experienced this, but you know, if you're somebody who's growth oriented and growth minded, the questions that you answer today would probably be very different than the questions you would answer, or how you would answer them, I should say, you know, 3 years ago. And so I used to be or think that I was very shy and very introverted. Well, no, I was actually just really unconfident, right?
Yes.
And so I would answer questions like, oh yeah, no, I'm standing at the wall, you know, I'm the wallflower. I don't engage in people. I don't talk to people. No freaking way. I would never do that.
Yes.
And now it's like, that is all my personality. And because I've had the opportunity to be able to shed the limiting beliefs. And so I think that's where the limit is with some of those, is it kind of pigeonholes people into a category that doesn't account for the fluidity of growth and the expansion of change that we can get to when we're doing deep work on ourselves. Where human design is there, it's just your birth data. It's just like, it's you. It's here you go. Here's your blueprint. Here's your blueprint. This is who you are. Take it, leave it, whatever.
Right.
But the more you understand it, the more you're like, oh yeah, that makes sense. That's me. That's me. That's me. That's me. That's me. That's me. How can I be more me?
Right. And another point that I want to make, because you're bringing this up, it's making me think about it. You know, the intention statement, which is, you know, I have today to connect with my inner design and harness my strengths, is you know, we're not good at everything. And I coach a lot, and I speak a lot on the fact that you are meant to be living in your zone of genius. If something is too much of a struggle, yes, you can work, yes, you can learn all of that, but if it's too much of a struggle and it's not in your natural makeup to do something, or to learn something or know something, you shouldn't be doing it. It's supposed to be easy. It's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to move in the flow of who you are and why you're here and what you came here to do. So that's really great that you discovered this about yourself. All right. So what would you say to somebody out there who is struggling with self-sabotage right now? What should they do today? I have today. Like right now, what can they do today?
Right now, in this moment,
living a different way?
Well, I believe it comes down to making the decision first and foremost.
Yeah.
You know, is this acceptable to you anymore? Like what happens is, and I'm sure this has been in your experience, and the people watching and listening will probably be able to relate to this. Sometimes it takes like a crisis before we take action. You know, we have the universe punching us in the face all the time. Like, well, actually, how it happens is these subtle little things, and then it punches us in the face. And then we're like, why is this happening to us? And it's like, well, because we're not listening. And so if that's happening in your life, there's a lot of frustration or anger or bitterness or turmoil or something like that in one area or in all areas or whatever it is, that is a signpost that you are not on your purpose. You're not on your correct path. There's something is off. You're trying to please others, or you're trying to go from your mind as opposed to your gut, as opposed to your body where you're meant to be going. And so, you know, the first place to start is just, okay, is this acceptable for you anymore?
Right.
Or do you maybe still need to learn some more in this lesson before you really break free from it, right?
Yes.
What is a small step that you can take right now to start to kind of like peek behind the curtain and explore what might be going on? And that comes down to taking personal responsibility. And so a lot of the times I'll ask my clients to, you know, okay, well, what was your part in this? You know, and that's an uncomfortable question for a lot of people, because when you're first starting out on this journey, you're like, it's not my fault. It's all their fault. It's everybody else's fault. It's his fault. It's her fault. It's their fault. It's this person's fault. It's that job. It's this thing. It's all external circumstances.
Right.
Why my life is crap.
Yes.
And when you're able to go, okay, but maybe I had a little part in that, right? And you just kind of scratch it like a scratch ticket, you know, like what's underneath this?
Yes.
And then you start to see, and you have that awareness, and you're like, oh my gosh, okay, like I totally created this, and how do I not create that? And then that's the next step, and the next step, and the next step. And the more you follow, you'll be guided to the right people and the right opportunities and the right things to help you to be able to become more conscious, more aware, and more grounded, and more confident, and to eradicate the things that are frustrating you and not like serving you at your highest level. But it just starts with that decision.
Yes.
I don't want this anymore.
Yes.
I want to live for today.
You know what? You said so many valid points in there that we teach all the time. You know, I know for me and my journey, it was only when I went deep into forgiveness, starting with self, and then self-love, self-acceptance, and ownership of the condition of my life. It was not outside of me. And that truly is the key to really making massive transformation in your life. Is it's not outside of you, people. It's not. Do bad things happen? Do people do bad things? Yes. But here's the deal. You attract it. You attract it. You attract it. You attract it. It may not be your fault, but like you said, it's the awareness of it, right? And so that's what happened for you too. Same thing with me. So that's a great key. So that's the number one thing you guys need to do, is you need to own the condition of your life. And like Krisha said, look at it and say, is this what I want it to be? Or another good question, if this was my last day on earth, how would I want this day to unfold?
Ooh, yeah.
What would I want this day to look like? Yeah. Am I living, fully intentionally in peace, love, joy, happiness? You know, the things that I want, right?
Yeah.
So,
and I'll say, just to that point, for anybody who is there, the chances are that maybe you don't know what you want, but you know what you don't want.
Yes.
So even start there. So it depends on where you are on your journey, right? So, even with my clients, they know what they want. They have a better idea. But then when I get them to, okay, well, what's your ideal day? They're like, I don't know. So, it's that pressure to know what you want. It's in you, but it's been so repressed. And it's usually things that you're like, yeah, as if I could ever own a successful coaching business and like be on amazing podcasts, like as if that could ever happen. Right. Well, hello, right? Like it's that, it's possible, like that deep inner voice that's like, hello, that we ignore and we bat away because it feels too big, and it would be too disappointing if we didn't get it, right?
Yes.
That's the whisper. That's the whisper. And when you start to follow that whisper, in alignment and according to your design, then it manifests for you, and it manifests for you in the most beautiful way, in the most unexpected way. It doesn't happen the way you think it's going to happen. It's at all.
You know
what? Start with what you don't want.
Yeah. When you get to this place, And you will get there, people. You will. If you're here listening, watching this right now, you're already halfway there, because
100%.
there's nothing random. No, nothing random. There's no coincidence that you're here. You are meant to be hearing this. So you're halfway there. So the interest is peaked, the curiosity is there, the desire is there. And when you dream about something, think about something, desire something, the seed is already planted. The acorn's in the ground, it's going to become the oak. It's going to become the forest. So you have to believe that. And no, you're not crazy, and you can have it all, and you can literally have everything you want when you get out of your own way, and you shed all that crap from you and those disbeliefs. And you're doing this, Krisha, and you're helping people do it, which I love, because self-sabotage is huge. We are so hard on ourselves. We really, really are. And your whispers got louder and louder. So did mine. And
couldn't ignore them anymore.
When you figure all this out and then you understand what you came here to do, so powerful. And you also said something really important. Most people don't know what they want. They know what they don't want. Because they're not asking themselves the right questions. They're not asking themselves questions in general, and they're certainly not asking the right questions. So, what do I want? Really, truly, what is that? So, so let me ask you a question I ask all my guests. How do you live the I Have Today way?
Oh, I shared with my story about how I would, like, in my past, let's just like sweep everything away. That was my soul. And the I have today is really a part of who I am, and it's my essence. And I believe that it's actually part of everybody's essence on earth. I think we all want more life. It's why self-care or personal development is such a huge industry, because everybody wants more life, more love, more freedom, more integrity, all of that, right? So I live it by no longer compromising on that being my guiding light. If it's not love, if it's not freedom, if it's not in integrity, it doesn't happen. And it took me a while to get there. I mean, there was a lot of integrity breaches, right? There was a lot of, like, not love, the opposite of love. There was a lot of stuff that I had to, like, wade through in order to be able to be in a very empowered space to say, if you don't represent, or whatever it is doesn't represent love, freedom, or integrity, my values, then it's not part of my journey. It's not part of my life. And so, just really being clear on that, I think is that, and present awareness.
Yes.
Being present.
That's really beautiful. That's really beautiful. So love, freedom, and integrity are your non-negotiables. I love that. That's a beautiful way to live. All right. So stick around for a minute, because Krisha's going to tell you how you can get a free gift. And then we've got something special at the end as well. So Krisha, how can people find out more information about you? And please share your special gift with the audience.
Absolutely. So you can go and check out my website, KrishaYoung.com. It's definitely an area to check me out. I do a lot of stuff on Facebook as well. So if you just find me on Facebook, Krisha Young, and you can friend request me or follow my business page. I'm also on Instagram at the Krisha Young. So any of those channels, you'll be able to follow me and learn more from me and find out more about what we have on offer. And the free guide that I have is the Key to Clarity Guide. It's a guide and it's a video series that helps you to be able to get this kind of clarity to find out what your next steps should be. I predominantly work with entrepreneurs and business owners and professionals. So a lot of the content that I share is centered around that. So if you're career focused or you're an entrepreneur and you like business and all of that kind of stuff, then it's a good place for you to come in and learn more about that, but also learn more about your human design and how knowing your design can really take it up like 1,000 notch, like 10x, your results and all of that kind of stuff. So that you can find that on my website.
Awesome. I love it. All right. So what we'll do is we will have links for that in the comments section on my website at dianeforster.com, as well as on the YouTube page. I have Today with Diane Forster, and the podcast by the same name. So you can check out Krisha's stuff there, and please sign up for her free gifts and learn more about this. Do this inner work and stop the self-sabotage, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, be aware of the sabotage. I mean, it's awareness. It's all boils down to awareness. All boils down to awareness because,
Yep.
I mean, we're human at the end of the day. So it's hard to kind of stop. But when we're like, oh, I'm doing it again. Okay. I know where it's coming from. I know why I do this, and I know how to stop it.
Yes.
That's it.
Yeah. The more awareness you have, the sooner it starts to go away. The quicker
100%.
you pick up on it and pivot it and turn it around. So
Yeah, for sure.
that's beautiful.
We can keep talking about that.
I know. Well, this is fascinating conversation. So I hope you out there got a lot of value out of this today and understand, that you really need to stop your self-sabotage, and that the intention statement for you this week, please write it down, put it on a Post-it note, stick it in your vanity mirror, stick it in the car, stick it on your desk. I have today to connect with my inner design and harness my strengths.
Mm-hmm.
And so one of the things that I want to offer to you is a way for you to do this as well. In addition to Krisha's free gift, which is great, I also have the 10 Days to Your Passion and Purpose program. It's 10 days, it's 10 videos, it's 10 journal exercises, and it's $10. So for $1 a day, you can answer some of these questions that we're talking about. If you can't get the clarity around, who you are and what you really want, what brings meaning for you, what is, what's intentional living for you, what's true for you, how to stay focused, all of these things, you're on a bus and there's no driver and there's no map. You're just going. So if you want to find out more information about that, then go to dianeforster.com and visit my coaching page to sign up for it. And in 10 short days, you will have the answers to help you to start living this way. So, Krisha, it's been a pleasure having you on the show. Thank you so much for being here. I love being on this journey with you and surrounding ourselves with these like-minded people who are on a mission to really serve people, to help them live to their highest, greatest, fullest potential. So,
absolutely.
So that's it for this week's episode. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel at I Have Today with Diane Forster, and subscribe to my podcast at I Have Today with Diane Forster, and we'll see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.